Hi, this is the Reading Poetry and Reading Politics video for the Spring 2021 sections of Literature, Politics, and Activism. This is going to be a relatively short video, but it's one in which I want to spend just a little bit of time saying something about the rationale for the course and the rationale for why we're paying attention to the kinds of texts we're paying attention to. If you've had a chance to look through the course schedule, to purchase the required text, you'll see that they're all poetry. And in this literature, politics, and activism course, so we're going to be focusing on a particular genre, poetry instead of like fiction, instead of drama. And other versions of this course have paid attention to a variety of literary genres. But we're focusing on poetry this spring, largely because I want us to think about the ways in which poetry as a form of literature asks us to pay really close attention to language and to pay really close attention to issues of voice, to who it is that we understand to be speaking through a text. And I'm currently here on the course schedule. I'm gonna switch over really quick to the policies page because I want to point something out. It's here under our course description. There's a couple key phrases that I use a couple times, and that is identity, community, and political action. And the third of those, political action, right, like connects with explicitly the title of the course. But I would argue that political action really only comes to be, really only happens in relation to the communities of which we're a part, and our belonging to those communities is rooted in our sense of identity. So ultimately, politics, sort of writ large, is an interaction that deals with identity and community. And I think poetry, in particular, is a crucial place, although largely ignored in our culture, a crucial place where we think about, in really interesting, compelling ways, think about these issues of identity and community. And that in thinking through those issues, those have political ramifications. Even if a poem isn't explicitly political, like it doesn't talk about some, presidential candidate or some event in history or whatever, like there are political dimensions to it. And I want to also call our attention to the final two sentences in that description paragraph, and that is, our course focuses on poetry because poetry compellingly asks us to look and listen carefully. And I would argue that that ability to look and listen carefully to one another is crucial to the healthy functioning of any democracy. Now, I don't imagine that our course will cure any kind of political ills that the nation may currently face, but I think that if we do these things, like this is what poetry asks us to do, that has important political ramifications. To help us get started thinking about this conjunction of identity, community, political action, the uses of poetry for this, I've put several links in this first week to a very recent, highly topical moment in which our public politics, the sort of ceremony around politics in the US, revolved around poetry in a very visible way for just a little bit. And that would be at the inauguration of Joe Biden as the 46th president. The youth poet laureate, Amanda Gorman, read her poem, "The Hill We Climb." Now, I've linked to a video of it. It's like 5 minutes long. Please listen to it. I've also linked to a page that has both a video and a transcript of the poem, the text of it. So if you're interested, you can read along or you can revisit the text of it after you listen to Gorman's really great reading of the poem. And there's no assignment connected to you have to do some analysis of this poem or anything like that. I just call our attention to it and I link to it, and I want us to look at it as a sort of opening gesture at the ways in which, right, poetry is being used in a very public way, in one of the rare moments where this happens, in conjunction with a very fraught political moment. And that this poem has a message, like it has a political import to it in what it's saying, who it's speaking to, its use, as you'll see, as you'll listen to it, its use of we itself is a political comment, a political move. Now, by the end of this week, I'm asking you to record yourself reading your favorite poem and or song lyrics. These do not necessarily have to be political or activist in some explicit sense, but I would suggest that, like, as you think about, like, what is your favorite poem? What is your favorite song? Like, what are the sort of political ramifications of what it says, how it sounds, who it's speaking to, who it's speaking for, right? Because as a class, we're gonna share these with each other, and I want you to spend time not just, watching a video of our U.S. Youth Poet Laureate reading a poem at an inauguration. I want you to listen to each other. Listen, pay attention to the kinds of texts that you are sharing with each other. Because as we go, that listening, that paying close attention to language, paying close attention to the political ramifications of that language is key to all the work we're going to be doing throughout this semester. Thanks.